The clock on the primary incident report flashes red. August 3rd. Beneath it, a line of code flickers, marking the moment of detonation. July 17th. For 19 consecutive days, nothing happened. No alarms blared, no security teams mobilized, no critical data left in a panicked rush. Yet hidden within the deepest, darkest strata of global infrastructure, a digital occupation was underway. How does an entire network become a hostage, mapped, cataloged, and controlled, without a single alarm sounding for weeks? The answer is found in the silence. At the moment the ransom demands hit, a figure that fractured the global economy, the world finally understood the quiet invasion had already won. Chapter 1. The 19-Day Shadow. The infiltration didn't start with a crash or a flash of forced entry. It began on July 17, 2024. This wasn't a smash-and-grab job. This was surveillance perfected. We now know the Inc. ransomware group used those 19 days not to encrypt, but to learn. Imagine a predator studying every shadow, every pressure plate, every guard rotation in a fortress before ever showing its face. This period of deep persistence, where unauthorized eyes watch every keystroke, is the defining characteristic of the modern cyber conflict. This isn't about speed, it's about patience. The patience of a predator waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The breach likely began with a single microscopic weakness, one that the security world didn't even know existed. Threat intelligence suggests the group exploited privilege escalation vulnerabilities, possibly using zero-day exploits to gain their initial foothold. They moved laterally, slow enough to mimic routine traffic, but deliberate enough to map the critical infrastructure, the servers holding the keys to the kingdom. For every headline, there are dozens of silent victims, feeding the black market economy. The fact that the incident involving Indoor Inc. ransomware is listed among the major data breaches reported in 2025 confirms the scope of their success. It wasn't just one company. It was a signal flare in the ongoing global cyber conflict. Chapter 2. The Playbook of Patience. The sophistication required to maintain access for nearly 3 weeks is staggering. The security systems designed to scream at the first sign of trouble were either asleep or professionally muted. The silence before the attack may have been subsidized by the quiet selling of personal profiles online, utilizing the very data brokers that map our lives for profit. The longer they stayed, the more leverage they gained. They were not just stealing data, they were cataloging dependencies, ensuring that when the payload dropped on August 3rd, the fallout would be catastrophic, leading directly to the global ransom demand. In a chilling echo of historical sieges, the ransomware threat functions like a prison guard. Break the rules, in this case, fail to pay the deadline, and the consequence is absolute data exposure or total destruction. The group's ability to hide for weeks strongly suggests they successfully bypassed or entirely neutralized endpoint detection and response tools designed specifically to flag unauthorized persistence. This required expertise usually reserved for state-level actors, specialists who can shatter encryption pathways, illustrating the adversarial capability that standard defenses were unprepared for. They chose the dog days of summer, when corporate staffing levels are often reduced, to plan their digital conquest. Chapter 3. The Mechanics of Occupation. How did they achieve this digital occupation? We must look at the techniques of deep infiltration, attacks against high-security targets, networks that aren't connected to the internet. The air-gapped systems are sometimes breached not through the cloud, but through the physical port. Sometimes, the most secure networks are breached by the insertion of a single device. This raises a critical question. Did an insider facilitate this access, or was the intrusion purely technical? We see parallels in history where meticulous, high-risk planning achieved covert objectives. Just as Mossad hunted a man across continents to bring him to justice, these groups hunt data across digital borders, demanding silence under threat of exposure. The ecosystem they operate in is volatile. The collapse of cybercriminal hubs like breach forums only intensifies the pressure on existing victims, as established actors seek new avenues to monetize stolen assets. Like biological evolution, cyber threats adapt. Inc. may just be the latest iteration of a threat we thought we understood. This professional presentation is part of an accelerating pattern. They built their reputation in the dark. Chapter 4. The Unspoken Oversight. This brings us to the central mystery. What specific vulnerabilities allowed the Inc. ransomware group to maintain this unauthorized access from July 17th to August 3rd without detection by standard security protocols? The infrastructure mapping during that 19-day shadow period was comprehensive. The collective failure wasn't a single mistake, it was a systemic blind spot exploited by focused malice. The truth is layered. It involved exploiting a novel software flaw, likely a zero-day, which allowed for initial access. This was compounded by the fact that the group was technically proficient enough to neutralize active monitoring systems. They understood the rhythm of the network, operating with a professional patience that security teams simply weren't calibrated to detect in real time. The speed of their preparation suggests they knew precisely where the organizational weak points were located, timing their operation perfectly during a period of reduced personnel oversight. The result was not a simple hack, but a total, patient occupation that culminated in the global ransom demand. This wasn't just about money. It was about leveraging silence into a global economic stranglehold. The world is now forced to confront a terrifying reality for many organizations. The digital occupation has already happened, and the countdown to the ransom demand has already begun.